Okay, can I have your attention up here, please? Today we're starting 4.3. We're going to spend today and tomorrow on 4.3, and then Wednesday and Thursday on 4.4. Today is dividing polynomials. Okay, I want to get a good start on this today. Do your best right now in exploration number 1 with your groupies. Okay, to match the appropriate statement to its graph down below. Try not to use, too much talking. Try not to use a graphing calculator when matching these right now. Until you want to check them at the end. But there you got it. Do your best to think about x-intercepts, what value of y makes an x-intercept. That might help you out just a little bit there. All right, can I have your attention back up here? Okay. Hey. How did you guys approach this? Matt, what did you do?
Well, I basically went and found what values you have to plug in for x to get zeros in your equation.
Okay, so like on this one.
Yeah, what values so you can put in a 0 to get x equals for each section. So that works on the left side of the equal sign, and then if you put a 1, that gets you 1, 0, and if you put a -2, so those are your intercept points. And then I matched it up by plugging in.
Okay, so what'd you do with this x here? Made that a 0 as well? We can't divide by 0, can we? Hey, you're not wrong. Yeah, you move it to the other side. Now, when you do that, really, what you've got to be thinking of here is, and I'll use this bottom one down here as an example. This is a fraction and this is a fraction. So really all they've done is they've taken a piece here and that was over here and they divide it by that chunk of the puzzle, if you think of it that way. So if you wanted to make it what it was, this technically is f of x equals, we can cross multiply. So that gives you the f of x, and this gives you just x minus 1, x plus 2, and x plus 1. So now you have them all on the same side. Okay? So really, you could just think, well, I could just move that back over here. Just like kind of what Matt's saying, this x, we can actually think of it as being over here, being multiplied by, which means this part is 0. So you get 1, -2, and 0. It crosses at those places. Okay, this gives you 1, 1, and -2, so it's going to bounce at 1, right? It's going to go right through -2. This is going to give you 2, 1, and -2. It's going to give you 3, 1, -2, -2, 1, -2. So this is going to bounce at -2. It's going to give you 1, -2, and -1. So you have a couple places where it bounces, and so on. Anyway, when you're all said and done, your graph should match up something like that. I didn't put B with its appropriate one, so B actually goes with, which one up there? F? Okay. All right. So graph A goes with letter C, or equation or function C. Graph B goes with function F. Graph C goes with function B. Graph D goes with function D. Graph E goes with function E, and graph F goes with function A. Okay? How many got them? All right. What kind of questions we got? Okay, so it's kind of a quick review and application of what we've done in the past. I want you to look at the next page, Exploration 2. Okay? For sure, bless you. All right, Exploration 2. Use the results of Exploration 1 to find each quotient. Write your answer in standard form. In other words, when I divide this function or this expression by x, what will it give me? When I divide this expression by x minus 1, what will it give me? And it's saying to use the information that you gleaned off of Exploration 1. Let's see if you guys can match those up and figure out how all that works out. Work with your groupie there. All right. Can I have your attention back up here? Now here's the deal. I think some of us might be making this a little more complex than it needs to be. And I appreciate all the math that I heard as I was walking around. But when I'm looking at this, I am dividing an expression by x. Which one of those divides an expression by x? A. The expression that's being divided by x is x cubed plus f of x, or plus x squared minus 2x. This is our f of x. Okay? Being divided by x is actually giving me this. Therefore, this is x minus 1 times x plus 2. That's all you did. All you did was to pull an x out of that, okay, and then factor it. So really, if you're trying to do the math, some of you said, well, that's x squared plus x minus 2. You just took an x out of this, out of this, out of this. Okay, that's what you're doing there when you divide by x. You're pulling that x out. Okay, you think of it like that. You're dividing it by x. These pieces cancel. I'm left with this piece, which I then can factor to x minus 1 times x plus 2, meaning x equals 1 and 2. Okay, now, the reality is they're just wanting you to write your answer. Okay, if we write our answers out, they're saying write them in standard form there, and then you can check by multiplying. Okay, but letter B, the one that I divide by x minus 1 is x. It gives me x minus 1 and x plus 2. What's that? Yeah, they all give me x minus 1 times x plus 2. Every single one of these gives me x minus 1 times x plus 2. It isn't. I'm not doing that quite yet. I'm going to do it at the very end. Okay, every single one of these gives me x minus 1 times x plus 2, meaning rather than me writing standard form out every time like I did factored form, I'm just going to write it out once. It's x squared plus x minus 2. Okay, that is each of those. All right. Guys, what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be actually dividing these. We're going to use what's called polynomial long division, and we're going to use synthetic division. Okay? So, once again, it's not terribly difficult. It's a bit different. But you guys are now in the third section of this chapter, and all these things that seem, oh yeah, that's pretty easy. That's pretty easy. That's pretty easy. Okay? You're putting a lot of little easy things together into a big chapter where the easy things don't become easy anymore because you've got to remember exactly what to do. If that makes any sense, by the end of the chapter, you're in nine lessons in. And some of the things are going to seem really easy. But by the time you're done, you have a lot of things that seemed easy and some things that seemed hard all together on the same test. Okay, which you have to be able to keep straight in your mind. All right? So be reviewing your stuff periodically, reviewing your notes. Okay, it'll help you out. We'll actually have a quiz, I think, next week on some of this. An opportunity to raise our grade. All right. So, here we go. Let's try some of this stuff. Page 89 of your student journal. Divide using polynomial long division. Yes, that is the best. Love polynomial long division. You cannot divide the work. No. Oh. What do you mean? Polynomial? Yeah, that is a pretty big word. But hey, let's try to use what we already know. Let's say I gave you this problem. 4, actually let's use 473.9 divided by 7. Okay, so the first thing, no, we're not using a calculator. First thing, is you would usually see it like this to begin with. If you could write it out correctly. 4739 divided by 7. The first thing, when you guys learned how to do this, if you had a teacher that taught you or long division by hand, I don't know. Did everyone in here learn long division by hand? Okay, so I know sometimes I've heard from students that they've had they just had us. We never went that far. We just used calculators, or we didn't actually do the long division piece. So I'm hoping that you did. All right. First thing you have to do is recognize which one goes on the outside of the bar. And usually when you learn this in elementary school, we always go, oh, the smaller one. Okay, it's not always the smaller one. All right, especially when you start like number 2. There isn't really a smaller one. All right, they say, there is, but they have the same number of terms. Right? So it's always the one you're dividing by that goes on the outside. And then you ask yourself, you follow steps. Now, I taught 5th grade for a year. And in 2 weeks, and that 2 weeks is when I had Mr. Fountain for 2 weeks as a student. But, we came up with these little things to help us remember. All right? 7 goes into 47. Well, the first thing we think is we divide. Okay? That's the first step. So you might want to write these steps down. Divide. I'm assuming that you know you could actually write the word divide if you want. Okay? Divide. 7 into 4 doesn't work. So we could put a 0, just leave it blank. 7 into 47 goes 6 times. After you divide, you multiply. Okay? 6 times 7. 42. The next step is to subtract. Okay? 47 minus 42 is 5. We then check. Does 7 go into 5? So we want to check and we want to say no. Okay? And we then bring down. Okay? So, then we start the process all over again. 7 into 53, 7 times 7 is 49. We subtract. We get 4, we check, nope, and we bring down. We get 9. 7 into 49. Lame problem, I'm going to add an extra number here. Okay, I'm going to make it that problem now because I need it. I didn't think it would go in evenly. I should have checked that. Okay, 7 into 49. 7 times 7 is 49. We subtract, we get 0. We bring down. We get 5. Does 7 go into 5? No, and this is where your teachers got mean, and they're like, oh, the fun just continues. You just add decimal, and you put a 0, and then you keep going forever. You're like, woohoo! Okay? That's where the joy of math became. And they didn't tell you that you could just, some of your teachers just, you just put R5, man. Remainder 5. Okay? Now, the reality is, all you really have to do is say, the answer is that. 677 and 5 sevens. You just put the 7 under the 5. That is the answer. Okay? Oh, yes, I forgot the 0. Thank you. Okay? It's a remainder 5. I forgot the 0. Hey, that's it. You always put your remainder over your divisor. Those are fun. Now, we came up with the little jingle, dirty monkeys smell very bad. Okay? Dirty monkeys smell very bad. We just came up with that, yeah. They probably do. We shouldn't talk about dead monkeys. Okay, here we go. Number 1. Let's use polynomial long division. So, what we're going to do is we are going to take x minus 3 and we are going to put it into x squared plus 6x plus 12. All right. So now, here we go. We ignore the minus 3 part and we just look at the first number, x, or the first letter. X times what is x squared? X. That's the divide part. You now multiply. x, now pay close attention, you now go x times 3 is 3x, and x times x, which is good. So when I do x times x, I should actually get that x squared. These things are going to cancel out here in a minute. And x times negative 3 is negative 3x. And now we subtract. Now here's the deal. When you subtract an expression, you are actually, it's like you're distributing the negative, right? So when we subtract, we actually make that plus and we flip that sign and that sign. Make sure you do that. That is where a lot of you will make mistakes. You are subtracting this from that and negative 3 from that, which means it's like you're adding those. You flip the signs as you subtract. Okay? So let me show that just once again so everyone's clear. All right? When you multiplied, you ended up with that. When you subtract, like if I have that times 3x, or excuse me, x squared minus 3x, it's like distributing negative 1. It flips those signs. That becomes negative x squared and positive 3x. Okay, so when I subtract this thing, it changes this to negative and that to positive. And then really we're adding the two. We're adding this and this to get 0. And that to get 9x. That we can't make. I mean, x would go there, but we don't have a second term. That's our check. And we bring down the 12. And now we start the process over. X times what is 9x? 9. Positive 9. 9 times x is? Notice we didn't do anything with the 12. So 9 times x is 9x. 9 times 3 is? Yep, and it's a negative 3, so negative 27. Okay? We subtract, which means we flip the signs. This becomes 0. This becomes 39. Is there anything else to bring down? No. That is a positive 39, so we're just going to say plus 39 over x minus 3. That is our answer. Did it go in evenly? Hey, key piece, stay with me. Did it go in evenly? No, therefore, x minus 3 is not a factor of x squared plus 6x plus 12. Okay? X minus 3 is not a factor of x squared plus 6x plus 12. In other words, this would not factor into a thing that has an x minus 3 in it, which most of you know because you're like, yeah, there's two things that multiply to make 12 and add to 6. There aren't, right? You like start going through, you're like, that doesn't work, and then you're like, and you become like a messed up looking bobblehead, moving your head back. Okay? All right, we good? Let's go ahead and try another one. I want you to take a look at this one. Tell your neighbor what goes inside. Do not write it inside yet, otherwise you're going to be mad here in a minute. Okay? Tell them what goes inside, what goes outside. All right, time's up. What goes inside? X cubed minus 4x squared plus 0x plus 0. What goes on the outside? X squared plus 0x. Got to put those place value holders in. Minus 16. Put the place value holders in. All right. Let's go through it. X times what is x cubed, or x squared times what is x cubed? X. Now we multiply by 3 different things. X times x squared is x cubed. X times 0x. 0x. X times negative 16. Negative 16. Oops. X. That was supposed to be 0x squared there. Okay, now we subtract, which means we flip the signs, which you have a negative 0 and a positive 0, really doesn't matter. That's gone. This becomes negative 4x squared. This is 16x. We bring down our hero. 0. X squared times what is negative 4x squared? Negative 4. Negative 4 times x squared is negative 4x squared. Negative 4 times 0 is 0x. And negative 4 times 16 is positive 64. We subtract, which means we flip the signs. Which doesn't really matter with the 0 again. That's gone. That gives me 16x. Did I mess up with the square? That shouldn't be squared right there. Okay, 16x and negative 64. Notice there are 2 terms here. How many terms are here? 3. Can't do anything with it. Therefore, this is your remainder. We put plus 16x minus 64 over x squared minus 16. We're not going to put the 0 in with the remainder piece. Did it go in evenly? No. Therefore, x squared minus 16 is not a factor of x cubed minus 4x squared. All right, everyone rate themselves 1 to 5 right now. You're at a 0?
4.5.
Oh, that's not good. I'll have to come around. All right, Tom, what's your question?
How do you get minus 4 on the x minus 4? How do you get the minus 4?
That was on the second row here. So I said, what times x squared makes negative 4x squared? Negative 4 times x squared makes negative 4x squared. That's how I got the minus 4. Well, you'll give them a shot tonight, and we'll check them tomorrow, okay? We'll check it out. You're only going to try 2. So you're going to try 3 and 4. Now, we're going to try synthetic division right now before we go on. And the good news for you is you'll like synthetic division. Yep. So here's the way synthetic division works. You take 2, or you're taking this, and you're saying, what makes this 0? The answer is 2. So you're going to put this little 2 right here. Stay with me. And we're going to take all the coefficients of what we're dividing. So we're going to take a 1 from that. We're going to take a negative 10 and a 2. We're going to skip a line, leave ourselves some space, and we're going to draw a line there. You'll like this. It's easier than long division. And you started out, Zach?
You had what's it called? Like, you know how we have like
You'd have to put place value holders. Yes. So like on number 7, you'd have to put plus 0x squared plus 0x. So you'd have to have place value holders. Yep. Good question. Okay, so here we go. Let's start it out. Bring down the 1. What's 2 times 1? 2. Put the 2 there. What's negative 10 and 2? Negative 10. Negative 10 or plus 2. Negative 8. 2 times negative 8. Negative 16. 2 plus negative 16? Negative 14. And that part right there, we are now done. This, notice, this is x squared, and we're dividing it by x. So this 1 represents 1x minus 8 minus 14 over our x minus 2. That's the last number is our remainder. Okay? So we get x minus 8 Okay, so I want you to set up number 7. At least set up the box in the top row for number 7. Box and top row for number 7. Okay, what goes right here? -3. It's whatever makes this 0. Okay, we have 2. We have 0x squared, 0x, and -54. Okay? What do we do next?
Bring down a 2.
Down the 2. And now? -3 times 2 is 6. -6. And now? Add. -3 times -6? -18. Oh, positive 18. Okay, and add. And -3 times 18. -54. And add. -108. All right, so our answer is, this was a 2x cubed, so our first part, we're dividing it by, that's a third degree, we're dividing by a single degree, which is going to give us a second degree, so 2x squared. Our power, our first power always starts one less than our previous. We can only do synthetic division when we have a 1x plus or minus something, a linear thing we're dividing by. We could have done it with the very first problem we did today. That's what we get. Your assignment is 3, 4, 6, 8, and so 3, 4, those two, and 9 through 12 on the next page. 3, 4, 6, 8, 9 through 12.